right, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm shooting from my home studio. For those of you that don't know, I've played the guitar since I've been about 12 years old. Also play the bass in a local band, and this is where we get creative. This is the place where we play a tremendous amount of music. We get to really explore our musical creativity. What I'd like to really talk about today, along with being creative, is something most people never really associate with real estate, construction, or business in general: creativity. I can promise you right now, if you're not using creativity as a weapon or as a filter, as an operating system, you're ultimately failing and you're falling behind. The people that are winning in 2026 aren't ones grinding the hardest. They're the ones that are thinking the smartest, and they're taking creativity into play. And that's the real big difference. So let me start with this. Most people think creativity is painting or drawing, design work, or being artistic. They think it's something maybe like a personality trait, either you're born with or not. But creativity isn't art, in my opinion. Creativity is problem solving. When it comes to business, it's all about problem solving. And creativity is the ability to see a path when everyone else sees a wall. Creativity is the thing that separates average business owners from market leaders. So I've taken the creative energy of my music and I've applied it to my business, and I've applied it to real estate. And here's the truth. The world has changed. Hard work still matters, absolutely, but hard work without creativity, you're going to get into some resistance. It's like pushing a boulder uphill every single day. Creativity is what gives you leverage. And I think creativity is the shortcut, the advantage, the thing your competitors can't copy. They can copy your price, they can copy your format, your marketing, your logo, but they can't copy the way you think. This is where creativity comes into play. And when I talk about creativity, I'm talking about problem solving. So let's break this down, because I think it's really important in business. Creativity, in my opinion, in business is simply this: the ability to solve problems in a unique and elegant and effective way. It's how you adapt. It's how you find the margin. It's how you innovate, and it's how you pull ahead. Creativity is something that some of us are just ultimately born with, and you have that talent, you have that trait, you can really hone in on it. And in real estate, creativity is everything. Let's just tell the truth here. The agents who are struggling right now are the ones doing everything the old-fashioned way. Cold calling the same script, sending the same postcards, and posting the same boring content. Writing the same MLS descriptions every single day, it gets tiring. Or running that same tired playbook from like 1998. And it may have worked back then, but today, there's no way it's gonna work. And they wonder why they can't stand out, and why their leads are running dry, and why nothing is landing for them. Meanwhile, the creative strategist, the creative investor or business owner, the one who understands brand, the storytelling, negotiation psychology, deal structure, that's the entrepreneur, the business owner, the agent, or the investor who ultimately wins. Because creativity allows you to create opportunity, not wait for it. And creativity lets you structure deals other agents don't even recognize. If you haven't found out about creative finance in real estate, you should definitely dive into that topic. And creativity lets you position property in a way that speaks to human behavior. It's not generic marketing, and it's not going to be some robotic AI trying to craft up a deal for you, let alone negotiate a price. So let me give you a real example. A lot of agents will look at a buyer who has limited cash and say, sorry, you're not qualified. Or a seller who's upside down and say, well, I guess we can't do anything. But the creative agent says, okay, what about seller financing? That's an option. What about interest only? What about wrap loans? What about subject to? What about lease options? What about short-ended concessions that make the deal work and get it across the finish line? What about assignments? What about creative deal structuring? Those are all super creative, functional deal structures that you can implement. Creativity opens the door when the market tries to close it. And creativity is also what makes you incredible at negotiation. You're not just throwing a number out there. You're shaping a win-win dynamic. You're crafting narratives. You're framing the deal. You're using the psychology, not the pressure. And I think creativity turns negotiations into an art form. If you listen to people who are really good at this, that art closes the deal. Now let's talk about construction, because this channel is all about real estate and construction, business and wellness. Man, if there's any industry where creativity is life or death, it's construction. Anyone who can follow a blueprint when everything goes perfectly can win. But guess what? Everything never goes perfectly. The ground shifts, the weather changes, suppliers delay, a client changes their mind, maybe 3 times or more in a project. A wall reveals hidden drainage issues or some kind of damage. A finish doesn't match. Something breaks or something leaks or something just simply isn't square, plumb, or aligned. And that interrupts the entire schedule. So creativity and be able to think on the fly and solve problems is what saves the project. Creativity is when you walk into a job site and say, okay, the plan changed, but we're still moving and we're going to still move forward. Creativity is looking at constraints and saying, all right, how do we optimize? How do we get around this? Creativity is redesigning the scope without compromising the quality. That's huge in construction. Creativity is finding new vendors. It's finding new materials, new angles, new workflows, new design pathways. Creativity is the thing that builds client trust ultimately, because clients don't care if everything goes perfectly. They care about how you respond when it doesn't. That's huge. Instead of reacting to everything, you're responding to everything. And that brings me to entrepreneurship ultimately, because creativity is the entire game. That's the whole playbook. Creativity is the leverage. It's how you solve the problems and it's how you lead people. In my opinion, it's how you create the systems and it's how you design the workflow. For me, creativity has been everything in my life. And creativity lets you see what other people can't see. Creativity lets you build what other people think is impossible. I think it's prevalent within the regenerative design communities where people are looking at different ways to build neighborhoods, communities, cities, farms. Look at every other major business that has a success story. None of them won because they worked harder than everyone else. They won because they thought differently. They won because they asked different questions. And in my opinion, they won because they were willing to experiment. They were willing to pivot, they were willing to innovate, and they were willing to reimagine things, to think outside of the box. That's huge. So creativity is how you escape the burnout. Creativity is how you remove yourself from the hamster wheel. And creativity is how you stop operating from chaos and ultimately start operating from design. And that's intentionality. You are ultimately looking at things from outside of the box. And like I said earlier, if you're watching this video, you're probably somebody who has ambition, who wants to grow. You want to build something that lasts. You want to make a mark, but ambition without creativity becomes a heavy pressure on you. And ambition with creativity becomes power. So having power and having creativity is going to set you apart from everyone else in these industries. So let's get practical with it. How do you actually become more creative? Because you don't just get creative, you activate the creativity. You cultivate it. You build an environment where creativity naturally shows up. You let it come to you. Number 1, reduce the noise. Creativity doesn't happen when your brain is complete mush or completely overloaded. Too many inputs will kill your creativity. Too much content, too many opinions, too many notifications. You're drowning in stimulus. There's too much happening, and a drowned brain cannot innovate. Silence will activate the creativity, and the space creates the ideas. A lot of us find clarity in meditation when we sit in stillness and silence. That will help cultivate creativity. Number 2, move your body. Creativity requires oxygen. Sitting all day blocks creativity. Movement unlocks creativity. Go on a walk, get in a workout, stretch, go outside. Creativity lives in motion. And number 3, work in themes. don't work in chaos. Creativity thrives in structure. You need systems for your creativity to really flow. So you need topic pillars, you need content calendars, and you need a daily rhythm. A clear framework to channel creativity allows the ideas to flow. Creativity is not just random, it's trained, and it will change you. And so number 4 will expose yourself to different worlds. You want to be more creative in business? You got to study the architecture, study psychology, study art, study athletics, study neuroscience, because creativity comes from the cross-pollination, the connection of dots most people don't even see. Think about that. I think it's pretty cool to take all these interdisciplinary modalities and weave them into something that generates something new. Number 5, stop trying to be perfect. This is huge because perfection will kill creativity. Perfection strangles the innovation, and creativity requires risk. It requires play. It requires experimentation. If you're afraid to be messy, you'll never be creative. And I love the old jam bands, the Grateful Dead, Fish, and others that can just get together and communicate with one another using their instruments. It's really, really, really cool. Number 6, start documenting. Creativity multiplies when you capture it. The more you create, the more creativity shows up. And that's why batch filming works. That's why content systems work. Creativity is a muscle and you got to work it out. And muscles grow through reps. Every day, putting in those reps. So here's the truth I want to leave with you guys today, because I'm so passionate about keeping creativity at the forefront in my business. Creativity is not a luxury. It's not something that's nice to have. It's not something for artists or influencers either. Creativity is a strategic advantage. Creativity in business is a tool, and it's the thing that will make you stand out in any saturated market. It's what allows you to solve problems, lead people, build systems, close the deal, and innovate solutions that ultimately create wealth. And I know that's why y'all are here, because you are also building wealth for you and your families and creating a legacy. If you want a better business, if you want to cultivate more opportunity, if you want more energy, if you want more freedom, if you're just craving what I know you're craving, you need creativity. And the good news is you already have it. You just haven't activated it yet. So that is a big disclaimer I want to say here, that we're all creative. Human beings are naturally creative. You just need to dig into those tendencies and activate it. So let me ask you this, guys. Do you want me to do a part 2 to this, where I break down how to build a creative content engine for entrepreneurs and real estate pros, investors, agents, brokers, whomever? If you do, comment creative below, because I want to put together another video to this. And make sure you subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and I'll see you guys on the next video.